Ajay from Arkino, and today I'll show you how we can use the MQ toolkit in Talos to read configuration from one machine and write it to another machine. Okay, let's start by looking at machine number 1. Let's call it dev1. The dev1 machine has got one queue manager and a few queues on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to read configuration from this machine and try and create it on another machine. So this is the target machine, let's call it dev2, and this has got nothing, no objects created on it as of now. What we're going to do is let's log into Talos UI and start by discovering the topology and configuration that is there on dev1 machine. Let's start by entering a few values here, the IP address of dev1 machine, the username and password that we'll use to connect to this machine via SSH, and finally the install directory of MQ. Clicking on continue will start a job in the background which will go and read the topology of dev1 machine. Let's give it a few seconds. And we can see success here. So let's click on done. So it's a simple topology, one host and one queue manager on it. Now let's go and read all the configuration inside this topology. For that, let me click on read configuration. What that is going to read is go and read all the details, all the attributes of all objects that are under that topology. That's another success. Let's click on done and we are here. Now let's go to middleware instances here and we can see that listed here. Now the next important thing about Talos is that ability to create templates that we can apply to any machine or any topology that we want to. So let me click on a new template. This will show me all the configuration that we have read from the source machine. All these queues, everything that we saw in MQ Explorer has been created here. Now when we try to apply this configuration to a target machine, we may want to change certain values on the target configuration. One of the things that could be different on the target machine is the install directory of MQ. So I'm going to create that as a variable. And let's take one more example, that the maximum queue depth, which is by default 5000, I may want to change that value. So let me create another variable for that. And I'll save this template. The template gets saved. Okay, I've not supplied the template name. Let me call it std queues, standard queues, and click on save. This creates a template for me. If I go to the templates tab, I'll see all the templates that I've created in this Talos server. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and read the topology from dev2 machine, which is our target machine. Again, let me supply the values. The IP address is different this time. The SSH username and password, and the MQ install directory, which is the same. The discovery of topology is successful. And as you can see, there's only a host, there's no queue managers on the target machine. So what we can do is we can go and create a queue manager here. So let's call it test QM1. And let us save this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply the template that we had created when we read the configuration from dev1 machine. So I'm going to apply standard queues template to this topology. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the values that are defined as variables there. So on the dev2 machine, I'm going to give the value of 100, and the install directory happens to be the same. So I'm going to keep the same, enter the same value here. Let me click on save. And now I have to apply this template to dev2 machine. By simply clicking on this button, apply, I've applied that template to the dev2 machine. There's another button here called generate artifacts. That's for integrating with Jenkins, and I'll show you how to integrate with Jenkins in my next video. But for now, what we have done is we have created an activity that could potentially be called from Jenkins. But let's try and run that activity manually for now using a script. So for that, let me go to the prompt. I have that command ready here. So it's called run remote activity. The name of the activity is read write MQ config. The mode is write. The environment is dev2. The middleware is MQ. And the payload is standard queues, which is the name of the template. And the version of the template is version 1. Let me click on enter. While this is running, let me go to the target machine and see what we can see in the MQ Explorer. As you can see, a queue manager has been created here with all the queues that were there in the configuration or inside the template. And let's go and look at the value that we had changed for one of the variables in the template, and that was maximum queue depth, and you can see that's the value we had supplied there. So what we saw in this video is how we can read the topology and configuration from one machine and apply that config to a target machine. Cheers. In my next video, I'll show you how we can integrate with Jenkins. Bye for now.